All right, everybody, welcome to the Renegade EDC channel. My name is Chris, and today we are going to be doing an initial impressions review of the CKF Rotten Designs Evolution 2, and this is just the plain titanium version. So this is a knife that I have been seeking for a few weeks now. I saw it. Fell in love with the design language of it, the way that it looked, and just really had to have one. So let's go into some of the numbers, the dimensions of it right off the bat. So this knife is an overall length of about 8.4 inches, has a blade length, which is talking about from the end of the scale right here to the tip of the blade length of 3.7 inches with a cutting edge of 3.6. So quite a lot of cutting edge on this beautiful hollow grind knife in M390. See if the camera will kind of pick up that nice radius going up the blade, so you have really nice thin material right behind that cutting edge, which makes this thing a beautiful slicer. This is titanium hardware, so we've got titanium scales, titanium backspacer, titanium clip, and the clip is actually something that I have been very, very impressed with. So pivots on a lot of knives can be uncomfortable in the hand, can be uncomfortable in the pocket. They can also cause a lot of adverse problems where it comes to like snagging them on your seat belt, snagging them on your clothing. I am typically wearing some kind of a fleece vest or sweater or something like that in the Ohio winters, just to keep a little bit of warmth on me. And a lot of times they'll have a pull string or an elastic band or something that catches on a lot of knife clips. This one does not have that problem. When it's sitting in the pocket, it has such a nice flat profile with such a nice kind of chamfered or rounded area at the bottom that I have not found any kind of issues with this hanging up on anything. I haven't rubbed it against, haven't scratched anything by rubbing up against it. I haven't been catching it on my seat belt. This knife, for the size, actually pretty well disappears in my pocket. And because of its ergonomics, its kind of shape and aesthetics, I could almost forget that it's in there, which is a little bit unlike a lot of other knives in this same kind of size category. Okay, so we've gone through all of that. Let's talk about the weight just a little bit. We're just under 8 ounces. So there is a little bit of weight with this knife. When I was looking into purchasing it and I was reading about the dimensions and the specifications, I actually expected this knife to feel a little bit heavier when it came in. And I was very, very pleasantly surprised when it arrived how light it actually felt. And one of the reasons for that, I know the camera is probably not going to want to see in there. Let's see if we can help it along. So you can kind of see the milled out areas on the inside of the scale. So they've milled out a pretty substantial amount of material, which has really lightened this blade up. And even though it is just under 8 ounces, so you would think half a pound, it doesn't feel like that's the weight that it has. It's nice and easy to move, light in the hand, flips open effortlessly. It doesn't have that weight to it, even though it physically weighs that much. We do have a frame lock design. So we've got the nice frame lock there. And again, looking at some of these fine details, they've got a nice kind of jimping on the inside of this lock, and then a flat area where your thumb just kind of naturally impacts the flat. The jimping gives your thumb a nice purchase or grip on that. So again, unlike other knives, the lock bar, that frame lock, actually doesn't feel uncomfortable. So you can fidget with this knife all day long, and it doesn't have that uncomfortable feeling that you would get out of like a CRK or other knives like that, where that lock bar, it kind of has that chamfered area that's not very well done. You normally will get that sore spot on your finger. Not that you really fidget all that much with a CRK. But this one is very well executed. You have that same design with the jimping mirrored on the back of the blade. So you've kind of got that hefty sawtooth kind of feel like you would expect on a big bandsaw or something like that heft to it. Blade shape is cleaver style, so you kind of have a Warncliffe cleaver. Nice radius on the belly. So this is a knife that is perfect for those of you that like to do food prep or cut food with the knife that is in your pocket. Typically, I am not one of those type of people, but I have actually found the last couple of times that I've eaten steak, and I've had this knife in my pocket for a little bit over a week. Last couple times that I've eaten steak, instead of pulling a steak knife out of the drawer, I've actually used this knife, and it's been a really pleasant experience. One, it slices through everything like it's butter. One, because it's super sharp, and because that hollow grind is so precisely executed that it just makes it a slicing monster. Outside of that, so you can see we've got the scale here that has a nice finger cutout that fits perfectly for your index finger. My hand hangs off the back of the scale just a little bit, and that kind of makes it uncomfortable for my pinky, but you have this forward choil that actually makes this knife very, very wonderful for someone that would have a little bit larger hand. The hollow grind on the blade also makes it a joy to pinch. So if you're using this to make some gauged cuts on some Amazon boxes or something like that, this knife actually fits very well in the hand. You can get your thumb into that kind of radius or convex in the blade, and it actually makes for a really good purchase on the end or the tip of that blade so that you can use it for some good depth cutting. Same thing with that forward grip. You can actually get your thumb way up here on this flat and really get some good control if you were, say, making a feather stick or something like that out in the woods. So that's kind of just my quick impression of the knife. Flicks open beautifully. This is a knife that rests on bearings, has some really hefty hardware, and out of everything that I've gone over with this knife, that's really the only the one probably negative that I have is there are two different sizes of hardware on this knife. So all of your scale and clip screws are one side, and then you have a big old I think it's T12 that is on the pivot. I kind of like it because you know that there's some heft to it. It's a lot harder to strip out those little bit larger screws, in my opinion. So I don't have a terrible problem with it, but those of you that maybe have like a micro Torx bit set, you may not even have a T12. A lot of those only go up to maybe T10, some of them into T11. I know both of the Weehaw sets that I have go all the way up to T15, so I don't really have any issues with that. One more thing I want to talk about right before I wrap this up is the detent on this. So the detent is perfectly tuned. I can 5-finger flick this, forward, reverse grip, anything that I want, and you can actually get just that little bit of momentum, disengage that detent and flip it open. So this is not something that I would ever do. So if I'm fidgeting with this knife, I'm typically going to be thumb flicking it or middle finger flicking it. I'm not going to be sitting there and making these big boisterous motions, flipping it out and being obnoxious. But it's interesting that it's tuned so well with that detent that it works that effortlessly. So beautiful, beautiful knife. If you get a chance to try out an Evo 2 or after having this, I'm really going to be on the lookout for other CKF knives like the FIF, just to see what else they've got, what kind of design language they have, and see what I think about them. So this has been a early impressions review of the CKF Rotten Designs Evo 2. Let me know in the comment section below if you have this knife, what are your thoughts on it? If you don't have this knife, what makes it appealing to you? And I'll see you in the next video. All right, so I wanted to take a moment to put a little shameless plug before we get to the content of this video. So, those of you that do not know me from Instagram or the various Discord groups that I am a member of and am active in, I do have a web store that stocks an assortment of items that may benefit the general everyday carry person. So, without further ado, let's talk about some of those items and where you can find them. So, the first item and the flagship item of Renegade EDC is the handkerchief. So these handkerchiefs are approximately 8 inches by 8 inches squared. They have an optician's grade microfiber on the back and then a cotton face that is custom printed with custom artwork done by a lot of people in the community. Furthermore, we also have leather products. This is the most recent leather product that has been included in the store, and this has been selling out every single time that I post it. And this is the coin slip wallet. So if you carry a challenge coin or other similarly sized item, it fits right into the wallet, has a nice secure feeling, and then this will also have a cash flap and a card slot. So this holds about 5 to 7 cards very comfortably, plus cash, plus your coin. And we have other leather items as well, including all brass belts. So these belts have brass rivets, brass follower loop, and brass buckles. So all of that is on the website, plus beard balm. So those of you that have a beard that you would like to keep nice and soft, maybe control a little of those stragglers, this is a wonderful product to keep your beard in tip-top shape. So thank you very much for taking the time to watch this. I will have a link in the section below to my Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, and the website where you can pick up these products and many others to come. Thank you very much, and hope you enjoyed this video.